And this is a Robert Jones bandage applied to a canine patient. I'm going to assume that the injury is somewhere between the carpus and the elbow, which means that the bandage has to go from the toes to just above the elbow here. You always want to go to either side of whatever joint is, whatever joints are affected potentially, or whatever area is affected. So I'm going to apply a Robert Jones. The only difference between a Robert Jones and a modified Robert Jones is a modified Robert Jones has less padding, and it also includes a splint. The Robert Jones is just excessive padding, which helps immobilize the joint area that you immobilized. So first thing I'm going to do is apply my stirrups. So I have 2 long strips of tape here. They're going to go on either side of his leg here, and these are going to essentially help hold the bandage in place. So put that on that side, and this one down the other side. So I have a tongue depressor applied here in the middle. What that does is on the distal end of this tape, it keeps it apart for me, which makes it easier for me to pull it apart when I need to return the stirrups back up the leg there. So I just stick the tape to that end. And then with the padding here, the general rule is that you need to leave the 2 middle toes exposed so that you can monitor them. To make sure that there's not any swelling or discoloration, they don't feel cold to the touch, anything like that. So as I'm working my way up, you always work your way from the distal portion to the proximal portion of the limb, and then your way back down. As I'm going up, I'm going halfway at each turn, so I'm only covering half of what I had previously laid. So it's working its way up. You want to make sure that you're not putting it too snug. The padding itself isn't too essential because typically it'll tear if you get it too snug. But you do have to be careful with everything to make sure that you're not applying it too tightly because it will cut off circulation. So when I get to the top there, I got past the elbow about 1 inch. I'm going to work my way back down. And as I said, the basic premise of this bandage is just padding, padding, padding. I have 2 more rolls here. Sorry guys, I'm gonna pass back in. Actually, I wish I had a little bit more padding, but I'm limited to the supplies that I brought with me today. So typically I would add a lot more padding to this just to make it thicker, because the point of the padding is basically immobilization. The thicker it is, the less they can move that limb. It's not too terrible, it's pretty thick, but I prefer it to be thicker usually. Okay, just one more. Just one more. Alright. So then once I have that in place, I take the sling gauze. The sling gauze is essentially what's going to hold everything in place. This you do pull a little on the snug side because you want it to be able to kind of retain all that stuff into place there, and it kind of packs everything down. But you do want to be careful with the pressure that you're applying because you don't want to cut off circulation. So it just kind of wraps up and around, covering the bandage here, and tucking everything down in a little bit snugger. Should I got out my bandage scissors and I didn't do that.
I'm gonna get you a pair.
I'll grab them. Okay. Just a second. I'll just have Steph put this in place for me. Okay, you can hold that for me. Are you gonna find me? I got tape. tape there to hold that in place for me. And this is where the stirrups come in. So basically what you do at this point is you pull this tape apart, twist it onto itself so that the sticky part is facing up towards you, and then you take that and you lay it up the leg there. So what that does is it essentially holds all of this in place. It's basically working as a stirrup. It's holding tension on the inside and the outside to keep the bandage from slipping. And then this is where vet wrap comes in. Basically, this is just a covering on the bandage is all it is. This is already pre-stretched out. You want to be careful because the vet wrap will constrict itself. So you need to make sure that you're just kind of laying this on. You're not putting this tight at all. And I always pre-stretch my vet wrap before I put it on. So, I don't know why I got black for a black dog. I got it because it was what Tractor Supply had right in front of my face. Is that. And that is a Robert Jones bandage. Toes are exposed. It's covering joint to joint.